Hello, my name is Ian Diamond and I'm the UK's National Statistician. It's a big words, but what that means is I run the Office for National Statistics, which for short we call the ONS. And what we do at the ONS is we provide statistics and information about all of our population, about all of our economy, about so much of what goes on in our country. We do this right across England, and for population, we do it for Wales as well. So what this means is that we spend our lives counting things, putting them together, and publishing those things. And the government at all levels uses our numbers enormously in order to be able to plan transport, to plan how many schools, how many classrooms we need in schools, healthcare, so many things, how many roads we need. And that is absolutely critical for planning. And that's why every now and again, what we do is bring together an enormous survey to count everybody in the population. We call this big survey that we do once every 10 years a census, and we've been doing one in our country since 1801, every 10 years since then. And what we attempt to do is to count absolutely everybody, not just as individuals, people within households, so we know about every household in the country. And a little later in this lesson, my colleagues Keisha Samuels and Jenny Kerr will explain much more about this and talk to you about what's going to happen soon, which is going to be that population announcement, when we will find out exactly how many people there are in our country. So I want to thank all of you for taking part in Let's Count, which was you counting and doing that population count at school. And more than 9,000 schools across England and Wales took part in the Let's Count programme last year. And through these 9,000 schools, over 2 million children and indeed their parents learnt about the importance of the census. And what that did was help us to achieve probably the best census we've ever done in our country, the best census. And that means that the numbers that we will be able to announce and that Keisha and Jenny will tell you about soon will be absolutely brilliant for enabling us to know how many people are in our country, how many people in each street, in each local area, and that will mean that planning and policy making will be so much better. Your counting at your school has helped your friends, your family, and your local community. Can't be bad, can it? Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this lesson.
Hello, I'm Keisha Samuels.
I'm Jenny Kerr. We're from the Office for National Statistics.
I'll be telling you a little bit about the census and also the new population announcement.
And I'll then talk about the impact of a changing population.
Look out for the counter cats, who will have some fun facts for you. They will also be asking you questions. So, what is the census? The census is a count of all people and households in England and Wales. The last census was held on Sunday the 21st of March 2021, when adults filled in a census questionnaire. A census has been held throughout England and Wales every 10 years since 1801, apart from in 1941 due to the Second World War. The census gives us a detailed picture of the population. It is unique because it covers everyone at the same time and asks the same core questions everywhere. This makes it easy to compare different parts of England and Wales. The census is run by the Office for National Statistics, ONS. The ONS prepares all of the important questions and then counts all the answers. Then the ONS analyses statistics about the nation's population, society, and economy. This job is vital. The census information is used by central and local government, health authorities, and many other organisations. It helps them to plan important services across the country, such as housing, schools, hospitals and doctors, buses and roads. These plans will help us prepare for the next 10 years. Fun fact from Doc. The census can also help us to find out about life in the past. Since the census took place last year, the ONS has been busy counting the answers that people gave. This year we will start to see the first results from the census. The very first results will be the population of England and the population of Wales. The new population announcement for both countries will be made in early summer of this year. Over to Jenny now, who is joined by other countercats.
I'm joined by Scout, who says, let's look at what impact a change in the population can make. Take a look at the graph, which shows the UK total population between 1911 and 2011. Which year had the highest population? Which year had the lowest population? Which year had the largest change in population? Was it an increase or a decrease? What happened in 1941 to stop data collection? Pause the video to discuss the answers here. Then pause the video to answer questions on the following slides. Digit has some questions. Will the UK population be higher, an increase, or lower, decline, in 2021 compared to 2011? What might the effects of either an increase or decline in the total population mean to the UK? What might the effects be on your life? How would you feel if you were the decision maker who had to cancel the building of a new hospital purely based on a predicted population decline? Who would this decision affect? What might be the consequences? What if that hospital went ahead, but then sat empty? Could the money have been better spent on something else or somewhere else? Perhaps a city 50 miles away experienced a large population increase as predicted, but hasn't got enough space for hospital beds in their current old and run-down hospital. It can't have a new hospital because all the region's budget has been spent on building the empty one. What are the most obvious changes between the 1911, 2001 and 2011 data sets? What if there were more children being born? What impact would that have on what was built and developed? What might be sold in shops? Design your perfect place with Splotch. We need to consider sustainability, services, houses and location. Sustainability. How will it be heated and powered? What building materials will be used? Where will it be situated? Will natural or greenfield habitat have to be destroyed to create it? Will cars be allowed, even if they're electric? Thinking beyond pollution to a safe pedestrian environment, what challenges would this face? Look at the three graphs. What are they showing? How will your perfect place be part of the solution and not part of the problem? How will your perfect place help raise the percentage of renewable energy used? Will it help with the planting of native deciduous trees and have limited impact on the health of both water and soil-based habitats? Services. Will there be more services such as hospitals and schools aimed at older, younger or middle-aged people? Will there be roads or pedestrian-only areas? How will the place be accessed and supplied with basic services such as water, electricity and waste disposal? Houses. Will all the houses be designed the same? Will they be detached, semi-detached, terraced or flats? How many rooms will each house have? How many bathrooms? How many stories high or low will the houses be? Could it all be underground? Will houses have gardens? Will all houses be expected to grow some of their own food? Location. What physical geography needs to be considered? Do you need to think about anything else, like slopes, the water supply, the risk of flooding if it is near a beach or a river, or the climate? Do you want to have a great view? And if you do, how will you preserve the view? How close will it be to other settlements? Will it be on its own island or stretch of land? And what challenges might this present around resourcing and trade? I hope you now enjoy designing your perfect place. Thank you for taking part.